Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting, relic, and treasure hunting. You can also call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any questions or comments you might have. Relics Radio is also syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky. And you are listening to another episode of Relics Radio. I hope all is well with you. I know with the virus going around, there is concern all over the country, all over the world, in fact. So I hope that you and your family and all of your friends and neighbors, I hope that you are well tonight. We want to welcome all of our listeners that have tuned in on the Spreaker app, and I see the chat's just flying. We've got several people there. Going to get DK here in a minute to name some of you folks that are in there. So welcome to you. Want to welcome all of our listeners that are picking the show up through the Cutting Edge Radio Network, our syndication. And also, we know that not everybody can listen live, and so we want to welcome all of you that are going to be picking up the archives. Our biggest archive provider is Apple Podcasts, but we also have iHeartRadio and iTunes and Spotify, Podbean, anywhere that you get your podcast, we are going to be on there. So welcome to the show. I am your host tonight, Diggin with 7, and I'm riding with the king. What's going on tonight, DK?
Hey there, Loy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Tired.
Well, I'm glad to be here tonight. Yeah, me too. I'm a little low energy tonight. I was trying to get up for the show, and I was like, man, I'm pretty beat today. I think I stayed up a little too late last night.
Yeah. Well, I've been busy. It seems like that I have sat here in the control room for the last 21 days is what it feels like. And I had to look this afternoon, what show is it? What day is it, and you just kind of lose track. But it looks exciting tonight in the chat. You're always looking for that first person to come in, and tonight it was Bill Hayes, as it is a whole lot of times. Either him or Ohio Relic Hunter 1. We'll jump in there real quick. But who all we got in tonight, DK?
Yeah, Bill jumped right on it. Daffy Mark. Mark, good to see you again. I think we were just chatting on another stream before I came over here. Scotty D's in the house. Elusive is here. Dennis is in the house. Boy, Steve Schlegel. I see all kinds of good people. Tim York and Earl from Virginia. Good to see you, Earl. Ohio Relic Hunter and Mandy McElwain's. Great to see Mandy. Yeah, just a lot of good people popping in here. Barb's already in here. That's awesome. Some guy named Kevin Dowd. I've heard of him somewhere. Kevin, I've been told that you need to keep it clean tonight, Kevin. That's all I'm going to say. But Kevin's a good guy. But yeah, you're right. There's an awful lot of places to catch podcasts these days. You named a few of them there, Loy, and I was looking online, and boy, there is just a ton of places that host podcasts these days.
Yeah, and, some of our hosting goes out through syndication, which goes worldwide, and we have no control over that. We really don't even know how many people that listen to the show through that and through all of the other podcasts. But we do know on Spreaker, and we're pulling down somewhere in the neighborhood right now of 820 to 870 listeners per week, and that's good. That's good for a podcast because, like you say, the market is saturated. And they're just there's a podcast for everything and anything, that you want to, anything that you can think of, you can find a podcast. But we're glad that you found us here tonight because we've got a good show lined up, don't we, DK?
Yeah, tonight's a really good show. These guys we're going to have on tonight, I've come to kind of met them and kind of, spent some time with them. And I'm really excited to have these guys on tonight. They have a lot of stories to tell from a really historic area. So I'm really excited to bring them on. You want me to go ahead and bring them on?
Yeah, go ahead and make my mouth water. I know that's what's going to happen because I know the part of the country where they're at. And you talk about history, it's just dripping with it.
It sure is. Let me introduce Paul and Charlie. Paul and Charlie are from a really historic area of Pennsylvania, and we're glad to have them both on. PA Pirate Paul and Heritage Relic Hunters. Charlie, Paul, welcome to Relics Radio.
Well, thank you very much, Ken.
Oh, there they are.
Hi, Lloyd.
Awesome. Hey, how are you? I guess all you guys are well up your way, are you?
Yeah. So far, yes, we're doing well. Yes, we are. We're staying home a lot. That's it's pretty tough to do when we're so used to being outside a lot.
Yeah, I know, and that's hard for everybody. But I think if we can keep our distance, if we can be clean, wash our hands, and use hand sanitizer and what have you. I've washed my hands so many times that I think I found some cheat notes from back in the 11th grade on one of my hands. But if we will do that, we will we'll stifle this virus. We're going to get through this. There's no doubt. But I tell everybody I'm 151 years old. I'm actually coming up on 70. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen an illness that absolutely shut the world down. It's not just shut our country down. It has shut the world down. But we're going to come out on the other end of this, and hopefully we'll be better for it.
Yes, as long as people listen to this social distancing, we'll be okay. We have to realize that's what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Ken. Get these guys started off tonight. I'm interested in hearing what they've got to say.
Yep. Well, Kevin just wants to remind Paul not to be silly tonight. So he's already on it. He's already on it there, Paul. We'll keep him in line. Don't you worry about that. But hey, guys, listen, it's great to have you on the show. Charlie and I started actually chatting with each other on Facebook quite a long time ago, and ended up getting a chance to meet him, and then also Paul at the event last year in Chazy, New York.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
It was definitely a highlight of my trip for sure. I think it was for you guys too. I think you guys were kind of amazed at sort of how many people knew who you guys were and wanted to come up and meet you. And why don't we talk a little bit about that trip? Like, that was a pretty good trip for you two, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Spending time with people like you at dinner and other, people that you met online. It's nice to sit down and talk to each other and get to know each other, a little better and understand each other. Yeah.
Why don't we start things off tonight? Go ahead, Charlie.
Well, I was just going. I know we had a chance. You and I had a chance to sit down with Matt Howe. We ate together there at the one restaurant, and we had a nice chat. And it was a fun time to be with you guys.
Yeah, it's something when you have little bit of experience of getting together like that, and then since then we've been chatting all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we've stayed in touch. We've kept in touch with each other, and I think that's a testament to sort of how everyone sort of got along and what we all felt about each other. And I just want to thank you both for doing that. I've really enjoyed your guys' videos. Now, you both have YouTube channels, right?
Yes.
We just recently started. We decided to just play around with it and create our own. Yes, we both have our own.
Yeah, we're never going to be big like everybody, that's out there now, but it's fun to do it, and it keeps totally occupied, and I just do it, just for the fun of it,
Yeah, it's tough work. I mean, people don't think realize how tough it is to put out those videos. So I commend you both for doing that. I know it's a lot of work, and but it seems like you both enjoy it. So hey, why don't we start things off with just talking about where you guys hail from? Why don't you talk a little bit about kind of where in the country you guys are, and then we'll start talking about some of the significance of that area.
Well, I'll just start out first and let Charlie take it over. We're in between Reading, Pennsylvania, and Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. We're kind of in that area.
Yeah, we're in the southeastern part of the state, 40 miles west of Philly. We're in farm areas. There's still a lot of farming areas where we are, country areas. So we have a lot of space here to go out and detect and get some great permissions.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty rural
areas in our area that we live in, and a lot of big farms that have been handed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. So they're all original. They're still, in their area. And luckily, where we live, a lot of these places aren't allowed to sell commercially for housing. They have to stay the way they are. So you really got like colonial farms that have been around all these years, and they're the same way they were back then. I mean, a lot of the buildings are there; they're the same. When you go to Massachusetts or Connecticut up that way, you got cellar holes in the middle of the fields and woods. But here, the houses are still here; they're not cellar holes; they're complete houses.
Where my wife's family farm, which is very close to where I live here. They've been on that farm since they came to America. The family's been on that farm since 1719. So that tells you a story about the people here. They still have the family farms are still here. It's amazing that still occurs in the United States where they settled. They still are there. The names from 200 years ago, the names are still the names that we hear in the air. Like the Lincoln, for example, the Lincoln name. Abraham Lincoln's great granddad settled here. There's a lot of Lincolns. The Boone name is still common here from the Boone family. Next door to where I live was the Thomas Boone house. So a lot of historical places still here. Down the road from my house, there's a marker, a William Penn marker. This is where William Penn, when he came here, he came up the river and he stopped right here and he went back to Philadelphia. So the marker is right near my house. This is as far west as he went back and whenever that was. Yeah, it's very historical. Where my wife's family lives, there's a lot of still colonial farms, and it makes great for detecting. My wife gets me a lot of permissions, by the way.
That's always a good thing, isn't it? Whenever when you know people,
they know the family.
Yeah, when you know the families and everything.
Right.
I live in a small county here in southern Kentucky. And we know everybody, and so it's a plus whenever you can do that because they know you and you know them. And of course, we don't have the history that you guys have up there. Does it kind of just? Are you just in awe every once in a while when you stop and think about the ground that you're swinging over and all of the history that's happened there?
Well, we had a place. Paul can add to this, but we had a place that we went to, and we found out it was a stagecoach stop back in the 1730s and 40s. There's a spring there. Later on in the 1770s, the Revolutionary War prisoners marched up past this house, and Daniel Boone played in the front yard as a kid at this house. Daniel Boone himself, as a child. And we went there and started to detect this place. It was truly amazing. I mean, Paul can tell you, we went there so many times. The Hoover boys were there. Quarter Hoarder was there. We were there, and we just found fantastic relics and coins. It was just totally amazing. Right, Paul? That particular place?
Yeah, Jeff Plugmaster and Missouri Mike were there.
That's right.
Tons of people were there.
Yeah.
And Paul, I'll just mention that.
I mean,
Paul, I'll mention a little bit. You're fading a little bit, just so get up on your phone, or I don't know if there's anything else you can do to try to get a more stable connection, maybe a different area where you're at. But Yeah, we'll keep trying it. You were just fading just a bit, and we want to make sure we can hear you. So
yeah, and we need to take a commercial break.
I know a lot of you guys are from Kentucky, right, down in that area. And wasn't Daniel Boone a big name in Kentucky? So
yeah,
it's neat that there's a connection that he was actually born here.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back. I'm excited to announce that Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors has rejoined Relics Radio as a sponsor. As a multi-line dealer, Tim carries several brands of detectors and accessories, and he's ready to serve all of your metal detecting needs. I'll give you his contact info in a minute. So why did Relics Radio go back to Tim Henderson as our dealer sponsor? 3 very important reasons. First, I often hunt with Tim, so I know firsthand that he uses what he sells, and he prides himself with great customer service and support. Second, Tim goes the extra mile in helping the new detectorist determine exactly what they need to get started. He will not try and sell you some high-priced product if that's not what you need. And at the same time, Tim can serve the seasoned detectorist with their upgrades or new product questions. And finally, Tim won't leave you hanging after the sale. He's just a phone call away for any questions or specialized training needs. So, you can call Tim directly at 615-948-4611, or you can email him at tjhenderson@comcast.net. And Tim is a great guy, a hunting buddy, lives down in Middle Tennessee. Can't wait till summer comes along and we go dive detecting those old sunken house sites at Dale Hollow. But, you were saying about Daniel Boone. I can look out my window and almost see Hannah Boone's grave. It's probably, a couple of 100 yards from my window here. Also, Squire Boone, both of their graves are together in a national park here, built around an old church that was established here in 1798. And first group of settlers came in after the Revolutionary War and got their land grants and everything here. So, there's a connection between these two, isn't there?
Yeah, it's fantastic. The Daniel Boone homestead is right nearby us here. You can look out your window
and John Boone's there.
Do what?
Right? Charlie can look out the window of his house, and the John Boone house is across the street from him.
Oh, yeah, right next door to his uncle's house. Thomas Boone's right next door to my house.
Did you hear that, Loy? Did you hear that, Loy? It's just right across the street.
Right across the street. Well, that's kind of...
And within sight of my house was a George Washington button found right within sight of my house.
Oh, my goodness!
And I haven't detected my property yet.
Oh my goodness! What are you waiting?
And who owned the house after the Boones?
I tell you what, George, I'm a button man. I love flat buttons and the old buttons. In fact, if I can find those, I'm pretty well happy. There's a lot of things that I would like to find. Wouldn't turn down a gold coin. Wouldn't turn down. I do find a lot of Spanish silver in this area. Wouldn't turn down a large cent. Don't find a whole lot of those here in Kentucky. But if I could find a George Washington button, that is at the very top of my list. Even over a gold coin is a George Washington button. I know I'm not going to find one here, but, oh, man, I'd be out in your yard in a heartbeat.
Well, that's why I wanted to have these guys on. They got so much history near where they're at. I knew would have a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Ohio Relic Hunter wanted to know if you guys ever detected the Dwight Schrute's beet farm. I'm not familiar with that, so maybe you guys know what that means.
I don't think I've heard of
that. Maybe he can put it in the chat.
Is that near us? Is that supposed to be near us?
Yeah, I'm not sure. A question came through from him and wanted to know if you guys had ever detected over there. And I assumed it's some area near you, but maybe he can put it down in the chat. But you guys have detected in quite a few different places around you. I know that, I've seen quite a few videos where you've had some pretty big hitters come up and, tap your shoulders, and you guys take them out to some pretty epic land and some pretty epic permissions. I was calling you guys earlier the permission whisperers, and you've put some pretty big channels on YouTube on some really epic ground. Why don't you talk about some of the people you've done collaborations with over there in your neck of the woods?
Well, do you want me to go ahead, Charlie? Or
Yeah, you go ahead, Paul, because Paul is the one who actually makes the contacts. I secure the permission, so to speak. So we'll let Paul tell you who he gets to hunt with us.
I've gotten the Hoover boys with us, of course. I met the Hoover boys right a little bit before I met Charlie, and
do they have a YouTube channel? Nah,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And then, we got in touch with Jason, Quarter Hoarder, and Jason, we can't get rid of Jason. We're stuck with him for life now. We try to get out every weekend together, and then we try to get out once just in County. But Kevin Dowd from Potter County Diggers, we invited Kevin down a couple times. We have fun going out with Kevin. We just went out with the Copperheads. They're from New Jersey. Let's see here. Who am I forgetting, Charlie?
I guess that's it.
Master Ford in Missouri, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
All the way out from Missouri.
Yeah, and I keep talking about I'm planning on coming out and joining you sometime here, maybe next year.
An open invite to Ken.
Yeah, and I'd love to take advantage of that, and I'm really heavily planning that. Haven't got dates set yet, but I definitely want to plan on that for next year. It's definitely on my to-do list for sure. I've already talked to my wife about it. I said, yeah, I'm going to be heading over to Pennsylvania sometime next year. That's for sure. Real generous of you guys to invite me along.
I've talked a little with Steve Moore from Garrett, and I've been trying to get Steve Moore up here, and he said he might want to do a product test video with us sometime. So that's been in the works. And Gypsy's supposed to come out with us sometime.
All good names right there. And I've hunted with Hoover boys. I've hunted with Missouri Mac and Plugmaster Ford. I've had Quarter Hoarder on the show a couple of times, I guess. Know him real well, but never have actually hunted with him. But it's great whenever you can, when you get together with people that, you watch them, they watch your stuff, you talk back and forth online, and you think, well, you are good friends. You just haven't met yet, but it's,
right.
That's part of going to these hunts. And, that's something now that a lot of people are missing out on, because a lot of these hunts are canceled, because of the virus and what have you. All these get-togethers.
Right. Yeah. Well, what we like to do, like, for example, Kevin doesn't find a lot of large scents where he's at, large colonial copper. So we invite him down, and he had the opportunity to find some. And he just found a real nice Trime when he was down here about 2 weeks ago.
I saw that.
So it's always nice to have people come in. Right. He found a beautiful coin. And where he was at was hunted pretty hard.
Yeah.
We hunted that place pretty hard, and he was able to capture that. And so we like the Missouri Mike and Jeff. They were down, and they found some colonial coins also. So it made us feel good that they were in the area here and brought that back to Missouri with them. So they had a great time here.
I don't know.
We enjoyed seeing that and doing that.
I don't know how long that you guys been listening to the show, but one of our sponsors is Detectees, and Plugmaster Ford is the master of all kinds of voices. And I came up with this idea of doing a commercial, and I wanted him to do the voiceover thing on it. And he talked, he impersonated me, and then he impersonated Tennessee Jeff. It was an absolutely marvelous commercial that we had, a favorite with everybody for a while.
Yeah, absolutely my favorite. Yeah.
But he's a great guy, and him and Missouri Mike, poor old Missouri Mike, Plugmaster Ford is always ribbing him. He's always saying something about him, and they just have a lot of fun. But they're good hunters, no doubt about it. In fact, Missouri Mike bought my CTX about a year and a half ago, I guess. Wow. Whenever I decided to get rid of it, I had said something to Plugmaster about it, and he said, I think I know somebody that wants that. And, Missouri Mike of course, Missouri Mike's probably got 40 detectors. He's got them everywhere.
I wonder which one he used when he found that gold coin in England. Do you know, Ken, what detector was Mikey using out there in England?
Yeah, he was using the Amphibio.
Oh, Amphibio, okay. All right.
Was, yeah.
I was really happy that he found that coin. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we were all rooting for him. That's for sure.
It's kind of like Penn and Teller, Like,
yeah, you're right.
Mikey's the quiet one,
Yeah. Yeah, he is. And I tell you, somebody else that's happy that he found that is Delic Gagnole with Noctamacro. She's happy that he found it too, because that's good advertisement, because people look at those videos when there's a gold coin pops out of the ground.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What are you guys swinging now, detector-wise? What's your favorite?
We both use Line Lab. We both used the 800. I got it, and Charlie was like, I'd go home with like 10 coins, and Charlie go home with 2, and then finally Charlie got smart. He went out and bought one, and now Charlie does better than me. So
yeah.
Well, I don't know
we
about
kind of like that machine. It's nice and smooth.
Yeah. Paul, you're still breaking up on your phone.
I'm sorry. I'll try to follow.
Well, we may just have a bad connection on your end. I don't know. I tell you what. Why don't you try? Yeah. Why don't you try hanging up? Just call back. Don't say anything. I will see you when you come in, and I will add you in. And let's see if that fixes that. Okay? Because we do want to hear everything that you say. And while you're,
I will say.
Go ahead.
I will say before I hang up, we did get my gold coin with a Garrett. So.
Do you understand him, Ken?
No, that broke up, Paul.
What did you say? I'll call back there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charlie, so you're using the 800 as
I'm
well.
Here. Yep.
Yeah, you're using the 800
Yeah, it was
too.
Paul had it, and he seemed it was a learning curve for him as well it was for me, but he had his first, and I kind of was watching how he was doing. I could see that he was doing pretty well with it, and I decided to pick one up myself, and I kind of took me a while to understand it and learn how to use it. I'm quite pleased with it now. We're both doing very well with our machines. So, but any machine, it's one of these things where everyone has different machines, and you have to just work with it, and I'm sure things will be fine with whatever machine you use.
Right. It's always sort of, whatever machine you master and put the time in on is the right machine for you, I've heard that said a lot, and I know it to be true. I know that anybody that has got a lot of time on a machine can usually out detect somebody maybe that's just brand new on a machine that's just getting used to it or whatever. So you've been using a machine for a long time?
Well, I had it now for about 6 months, the 800.
Yeah, and you think you're getting used to it?
Yeah, very good. I'm happy with it. But I use my Garrett. I have a Garrett AT Max. I use that for the water, when I detect the water. So I have that especially just for that, and I'm happy with that. We have a lot of places here where we live, a lot of stream crossings where they used to cross. They used to ford the stream, I guess it's called.
Yeah.
So I go in the creek, and I use my Garrett for that. I have a small coil on that, and that works out fine. So I have 2 of them to use. And also, I have a neighbor here that wanted to go out with me one day, and he had the Garrett, and he found some nice things with it. So, so I have it for like a backup, and it works well. Like I said, I use it for the creek, for the hunting coins in the creek and the artifacts.
And what do you have on your Garrett machine? You got the 5x8 coil, or do you have the puck?
I have. It's like a puck. It's. I guess it's made by Coors.
Okay.
The company Coors. It's just a small one. Yeah. It works out well. It really pinpoints things right away. It's. It works out well for me.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to have the water levels go down. We had a lot of rain here again, and waiting for it to warm up. I'm anxious to get back into the creek because I have a location downstream, which is very historical. It was an iron mining community, and a lot of things happened down there. So I'm anxious to go down there and detect. And upstream, there was Ben Franklin had a paper mill here right along the creek. So I'm anxious to find out. They used rags. They had old shirts and rags that they'd bring up from the city, and they, from what I understand, used to just rip the buttons off and throw them in the water. So I'm anxious to see how that works out.
Yeah.
See if I can find some buttons in the creek. So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there.
Hey, guys, we've reached the bottom of the hour, and we need to run another commercial, and we'll be right back and see if we can get Paul back on the line as well. You know, T-shirts are a perfect way to get your brand recognized, whether you're talking about a business, a club, a sports team, your YouTube channel, or whatever. But you may have asked, where can I get quality, affordable shirts on demand? Well, I'm glad you asked. Relics Radio uses detecttees.com for all of our T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies. That's DETECTEES.com. Ken and Mark Guthrie make quality shirts that last, they ship quick, and best of all, they're affordable. So if you need customized apparel, then go to detecttees.com and be sure and tell them that Relics Radio sent you. And Ken and Mark Guthrie, I'm trying to add Paul back in, and wasn't listening to the commercial there, but they're great guys. Get the Relics Radio, well, it's not hoodie time anymore. Get that T-shirt, get the cooling towel, and what have you. I'm looking to see if now I got Paul in, and I've lost Charlie. I think I've got Paul in. Paul, are you back in here with us?
Yeah, I think the volume might have been down a little. I think I adjusted it. Does that sound better?
Still cutting out a little bit. It sure is. And I'm
this is Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah,
we hear you.
Yeah, we got you.
I must have lost you guys. I lost you guys for some reason.
Yeah. Y'all must live in the boonies down
there. Well, yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Did Paul get back on?
Yeah, Paul's back on.
Hey, that is funny. We do live in the boonies.
There you go.
Yeah,
nice.
Boonies, yeah.
Boonies.
The boon.
Yeah.
You guys have named so many interesting characters in history so far tonight. Let me see. There's Daniel Boone you mentioned. You mentioned Ben Franklin. You mentioned... I think I've heard a story about George Washington.
The Lincolns.
He was through here.
The Lincolns.
Yeah.
The Lincolns.
William
Charlie,
Penn.
even your own family have a good tie to history.
Yeah. William Penn is another one.
Yeah. Here's a marker. Here's a marker nearby here. Yeah, it's see this area was settled by the Huguenots. If you guys know what Huguenots are, they're French Protestants. They're chased out of France, and they came here and settled here. This area was settled by the Germans, the Swedes, and the Quakers.
Yeah.
So there's the four settlements here: the Swedish, the Quakers, the French Huguenots, and the Pennsylvania Dutch or German.
Now, date-wise,
we have found some 1600 coins around here also. So I have a feeling the late 1600s they settled here. They started building houses, like starter homes. I think they started to build the houses around the 1720s, it seems,
Yeah. That's
Paul, didn't you work at a place called the Mountain Jones House? That was built in 1708? The Mountain Jones House.
I know one of them goes back to the 1600s. Yeah.
That was a question that I was going to ask, was the date that settlements began there. Wow, 1600s, even early 1700s. I mean, that is some massive old history right there. No doubt about it.
Well, you get on a property, Roy, and the house was built in 1720. So you got to realize there was a starter home at one time there, too. So, who knows how long they lived in the starter home until they built the house in the 1720s.
That's right, yeah. And that would make
on our family farm, my wife's family farm. There were 3 log cabins. Two of them we knew where the sites were. 2 of them, and we detected those both sites. 2 log cabins. The 1 log cabin was still standing, and the Dana Boone Homestead asked if they could take the cabin, take it apart, and put it at the Dana Boone Homestead. So if anyone ever goes to the Dana Boone Homestead here in PA, that log cabin there came from my wife's family farm. They took it apart and they put it back, and they placed it back on the homestead property. So that's where it's at.
Oh, wow. And Paul, Plugmaster Ford said you'll get better reception if you'll get out of the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Leave the chat, right?
Yeah. And
ladies and gentlemen, Jeff, Plugmaster Ford is in the chat room.
He is in the chat.
He and by the way, Paul don't have the Corona. His Corona's in his refrigerator.
Hey, there was a serious question that came through. I'm not familiar with it, but Mark Thomas wanted to know for Charlie or Paul, have you heard the rumors about the Doan Gang treasures? DOAN, Doan Gang treasures.
I have not personally.
No, there you go, Mark.
No.
You're going to have to let us all know about it, and we'll have to go look it up.
Yeah. I'll have to reach out to Mark and find out more about it. Is that, I'm wondering if that's supposed to be in our area here.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
Mark, and he'll go, oh, never heard about it. Don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you don't know about Mark Thomas, I'll tell you. Mark Thomas,
Mark's a great guy.
Yeah, but he'll mess with you. One time he was in the chat and he figured out how to turn words backwards and everything on it. I mean, it was really messing everything up. Yeah, but maybe you know what?
Connected with Mark already.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I owe Mark a favor. I won this contest, and I wasn't at the phone, and they were looking for me. And Mark did personal text. He says, "Charlie, get back on your phone." And then here I won this contest, and I didn't even know it. So, Mark, I owe you.
Okay.
Yeah. Mark says it was a gang of robbers in the late 1700s, closer to Doylestown.
Oh, that's where he lives. He's probably a descendant. He's probably a descendant from one of those robbers. That's why he knows about it.
They'll get us permission, Mark, and we're all heading out.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, we'll all come up. Every one of us will, no doubt. I tell you what, when we open up the phone lines, we're going to get all these guys to call in here tonight and just have a big old time here for too long.
Party chat.
Oh, I just can't wait for that.
Well, listen, guys, let me. Why don't we just go back in your history a little bit? Like, what started you on? Of all the things you can do in this world, metal detecting. Like, I know you had this, affinity to history there in your area, but is that really what drove you into metal detecting, or was it always sort of something passed down through your families? And you both can take that.
All right, I'll start out, and then I'll let you go, Charlie, so we don't, jump on top of each other. I started arrowhead collecting, looking in cornfields and that kind of thing, looking for arrowheads. I like to do that. It's fun history. You pick up an arrowhead, you're like the first person to touch that in like 5,000 years. I mean, there's no words, to describe that at all. Right. And a lot of the farms when me and Charlie met here, his relatives owned them. And we didn't even know each other, and I was collecting arrowheads 20 years before I met Charlie. And to be honest with you, I was looking for arrowheads in the cornfield on Charlie's cousin's field, and I found a KG2 right on top of the ground in the middle of the cornfield, and that kind of got me started,
Me and you come from the same background. That's how I got started here in Kentucky was my wife and I. Of course, they deep plowed back then, and then, they would disc everything down, and you'd wait for a good rain, and those points just be laying right on top of the ground. I miss those days.
You got it.
Yeah, I miss those days. How about you, Charlie?
Yeah,
How'd you get? Go ahead.
With me, we used to go to the beach a lot, and I always had one for the beach, for the family, the kids, and we'd find stuff on the beach. And I had this detector, and I have it here at home. And one time I needed to find survey pins on the farm, so I got the detector, and it worked very well. We were able to find most of the survey pins, and then I thought, I heard about maybe trying to find coins, and I figured I'll just play around with it, and I found a mercury dime. I thought, this is kind of cool. So
yeah. Charlie, you got really quiet too. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was going to say something,
but you got really quiet. There you are, right there. Perfect. There you go.
Okay. All right. Great. So I had this detector. Like I said, mainly use it for the beach and on the farm, find survey pins. And I found a mercury dime one day, just playing around with it, and that sat in the corner. Then the detector sat in the corner. I retired. I was a teacher / farmer, and I retired from teaching. And I thought maybe I'd do more detecting just for fun of it. And I started finding more and more coins, and I started watching YouTube videos about how to do a better job at it. And I just started to do more. And I met up with Paul, and that's how it all started with me.
And I like to tell this story about Charlie because when me and Charlie first met, like Charlie contacted me through Facebook, and that week I said to Charlie, I said, hey, let's go detecting together. And that same week that me and Charlie met, the Hoover Boys came up. So basically the first time Charlie ever went detecting with me, he got to go with the Hoover Boys. And he was pretty flabbergasted. He really liked the Hoover Boys, and I think that's something he'll always remember, that very first time going out with the Hoover Boys.
Yeah, that was really a thrill for me, because I was watching their videos, not even really knowing much about them or, who they really were. Just watching videos, and they came up. We really had a great time together. And that first time was, if you ever see the video called Yard Coins, that's where it was. And that's the place that Paul and I actually first started to hunt together. It was at Colonial Property. And I found one of my first coins I ever found. I didn't even know what it was. Paul had to tell me what it was. It was a 1793 Cap Liberty half cent, which are very rare. And I didn't know what it was. I was ready to trade it with Paul because I already had 2 half cents. I said, I don't need the other one. So Paul saved me from giving it away because it's a very rare coin.
That's a good friend right there.
Oh, me.
Yeah. So
Indian giver.
I didn't know what these coins were. It's one thing about Paul. Paul knows his coins. I think Kevin Dow will back up that story there, where Paul knows his stuff. He knows when you find a coin, he rubs it clean on his pants, and he knows what it is. So that's nice to have someone that does that for you.
It is, no doubt about it. And, to have that background, how'd you learn all those? Did you learn them finding them, or did you study them, or what?
Whenever I get into something, I really do research. I study things. I read stuff. I do the background. I, get books. I'm pretty good on, learning about things, knowledge. I like knowledge. So, I guess it's just self-taught,
Yeah. And that was one question that I was going to ask is, and we're just a couple of minutes from a commercial, but how do you guys go about your research? Is it just the families and they tell you history, or do you go to the library, or do you research on the internet? How are you finding all these old spots?
Well, I'm sure Charlie's going to hand that right over to me. Pretty much.
He does the research. He does the research.
I'll drive around, or when I'm going by someplace or something that's really interesting, and I'll check it out, and I'll go on the old maps and the new maps, and I'll look for buildings that weren't there on the older maps. They might be there on the old maps, but not there now. And then, since Charlie was a farmer in the area, I'll usually say to Charlie, hey, this spot here looks good. There was 2 houses there at one time. If you know them, why don't you check and see if you can get permission to hunt that area. So it's kind of like a team effort. I do all the research, and then he tries to work his magic and get us in there.
That works out.
Yeah, it works out well. The last permission that we had, which turned out to be very good permission. I actually met the farmer at a farm auction. I was standing next to him, and I introduced myself to him, and he told me where his farm was. And Paul and I would drive past this farm, and we'd say, we got to go there. We got to go there, especially since one of the buildings was in ruins in the back field. So I actually called the guy up. I had his card. He gave me his card, and I told him who I was, and he hauled around, but he said, go ahead, and we were there. We had to be there, about 10 times so far, Paul, maybe more at that.
Yeah, it's 190 acres, and it's still not finished.
And, it's been a great place. So I met the man at an auction, farm auction. And then when I did that, he said, does that detector find survey pins? I said, yes. So I had to find his survey pins for him to make him happy, and worked out real well.
It does. Anytime that you can do something for the farmer. Hey, we got one more commercial after we finish this and come back within about 5 minutes. We're going to open these phone lines up and let you guys call Paul and Charlie and talk. But let's listen to this first from American Digger Magazine. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger Magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger Magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger Magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And as most of you know, I am the producer of the American Digger Magazine's Relic Roundup show right here on Spreaker every Monday night at 9 o'clock with Butch Holcomb and Jeff Libbert. If you're not doing anything this Monday, come over and check us out. And I'll turn it back over to you, Ken.
All right. Hey, how long you two been hanging out? How long you two been detecting together out there?
Too long.
3 years, Charlie.
No, I'd say 3 years now. Yeah. We and what's really nice, we don't live that far apart. He's just up the road a few miles from me, so we can get together quickly and most any time. But this situation right now with this coronavirus, it's kind of broken us up a little bit here. But yeah, he's just down the street from me, basically a few miles.
So you guys know each other pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Charlie, tell me something I don't know about Paul. And Paul, I'm going to ask you the same question in a minute.
Something you don't know about Paul. Oh gosh. He likes he has this one particular restaurant. He loves his hoagies or whatever. I don't know. You guys know what hoagies are out that way,
yeah,
but
sure.
He likes to take people to his special eating place. He's very proud of it. And Kevin Dow knows the place if Kevin's listening.
All right, Paul, your turn.
I'll tell you one thing about Charlie is, you were saying how long have we known each other, and Charlie said too long, and to me it's not enough because Charlie's retired, but Charlie is a busybody. Charlie got his hands in everything, okay? So it's so hard. Charlie's supposed to be retired, and he's always doing something. So it's hard to get Charlie out detecting sometimes because he's always busy. He's always doing something. He's always helping somebody out, being the nice guy. But all I have to say to him is, hey, the Hoover boys are coming up, and Charlie's like, oh, I'm not busy. Nope, nothing going on.
There you go. Well, Paul's right. I have family here, and I have been on a farm. I have a lot of experiences with fixing things. If it's something my daughter needs, I'm over there fixing something for her and my son. But like today now, I hunted, and Paul was with me Last week I found a Mexican real, 1833 Mexican real in this guy's yard in this field. And that guy, he's 92 years old, and he's by himself. And I was there all day today picking up sticks and branches so his yard can get mowed. So he was nice enough to let us hunt there, and I was there today just helping him out. 92-year-old man. So yeah, it kept me busy today. But that's what I tend to do. If someone gives you good permission, you try to pay back. Like the farmer who needed his survey pins to be found. He left us hunt his land, and I went down to his homestead and spent half a day looking for survey pins for him. So that keeps me busy.
And you know what?
It pays off doing those things.
And even if it doesn't pay off in another permission or another door that opens up to you, you did the right thing, and you feel good about it, don't you?
Yes, I do. Like I say, he's 92, and my wife was there all day, and I brought my machine over there, my Kubota, and I picked up all these sticks, and he was happy to see me do that. But I was happy getting that 1833 Mexican real a few years ago. Yeah, so I was, and I'm going back too. And there's a bottle dump there.
Oh my goodness!
One thing that we do too that not a lot of people do is if we get permission for a real historic property that's turns out special, and we find a lot of things, we'll also make up display boxes for the owners of the property. And I know on 2 occasions we gave the owners so much stuff that it was a big display box with drape busts, all kinds of things, crotal bells. We gave them buttons, all kinds of neat things that they like to display. It came from their property. We did an old mill, and they wanted the display for the mill. We did that. So it's good to do things like that for them too, because that spreads the word too, and other people don't mind you coming the next time too.
Well, that's like the one place we went to. The wife was a teacher, and we did so well at their property. We actually made up a display case for his wife, and she brought it to school, and she actually did a lesson on that with the school students. From all the things we found. So it was a historical lesson for her, and she was really pleased to get this display case that Paul and I
bet she was.
That's very,
my goodness.
Well, they had to make 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
Charlie,
cool.
Jeff in the chat said that if you help him come, he wants you to come help him build some fences, and he'll put you on some sweet Wheaties. Sweet.
Sweet Wheaties. I'll do that, but he also has to put up a tree stand for me too, back in the woods there. I watched his last video, and he had some nice land out there in Missouri. He had some nice turkeys. I saw in his last video there's turkeys and lots of hunting areas out there. So I'll come out and put some fence up if he puts up a tree stand for me.
I could never take the weed wing crown away from him.
No, he's the Wheatie King. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, guys, I've opened up the phone lines, 270-495-0315. Call in if you've got a question for Charlie or Paul, or you just want to talk for a little bit. Phone lines are open. We can add you. While we're waiting on somebody to call, you guys mentioned bottle digging. Tell us a little bit more about that. Do you just see the bottle dumps, or are you probing for privies, or what's involved in your bottle digging?
Well, what happened with me was there's a young lady, her name's Mandy. She's called Dirty Girl Diggin, and she wanted to do bottles. She came up and detected with us one time with the Hoover Boys, and anyway, she said about if there were any bottle dumps, and I brought her up a couple weeks ago, and we actually went to this bottle dump, and she was having a ball, and we were just pulling out all kinds of bottles. Actually, I made 2 videos of us doing that. So, yeah, she got me back into it. I did it years ago. I used to go and dig for the milk bottles that were there on these dumps. But she, the one video is called Deco bottle dumps, and yeah, she had a blast. And I think we're going to do more of that. It was a fun activity. I know Phil Hill of the Hoover Boys, he's really into that. I know that.
Yeah.
So, but that was my first experience actually doing a video of being in a bottle dump.
And I saw those.
A lot of our old farms have dumps on the properties because, they're big farms. So, the old dumps are usually still on the properties in the woods if you look hard enough for them.
Right. That's what I was fixing to say. I saw those videos, and those bottle dumps were just out. I mean, you could see the dump itself. So you really didn't have to do any searching to find the dump. You just had to search through the dump to see what you could find, right?
Through the dump, right. Now, the next event I want to do... What's that?
Lloyd, before I started metal detecting, I used to collect old beer cans and old beer bottles and that kind of thing. And we used to go to the Catskill Mountains and the Anderot Mountains, and you used to go look for old dumps up in there, and they were everywhere. You could go old mountain areas, and there was dumps everywhere. We'd spend 1 or 2 days just looking in old dumps. I mean,
yeah. I haven't done a lot of that. I really want to. I'd like to dig some trash pits, and I'd like to dig some privies. I want them to be old. I remember us still having a privy, and I don't want to dig one, that I guess it was in the 70s before we actually had a bathroom in the house. So you're not talking about, and that's not 1870, that's 1970. But hey, yeah, guys, yeah, the phone lines are open, 270-495-0315. Let's get some calls in here for these guys. Go ahead, Ken. Turn it back over to you.
In the chat room, Kevin Dowd brought up a question. You wanted to know what each one of these questions for each one of you. What are your white whales? What haven't you found that you've been looking for that you just really have a hard time finding, and you're in a good area for it, and you're just going to find it one day?
Well, I think I'll answer this for the both of us. I'm pretty sure my white whale is going to be the same as Charlie's, and it would be Kevin that would ask this question. They trying.
And he found one.
That is a hard. That's a hard coin to find. I'll admit that
it is.
It's very hard.
It's very small coin. My white whale was a seeded half dime, and I found one. What was that, Paul? About 2 weeks ago?
I'd say a month, probably. Yeah.
Oh, it was a month now. Okay, it was a seeded half dime. I found one, and I was just in shock. That was one that I really wanted to find, and I found it.
I hunted for years and years before I found a half dime, and I was really, really wanting to find a half dime. And the first one that I found was a seeded half dime, and I found it on a Civil War camp. And then it wasn't but about probably 4 or 5 weeks later, I found another half dime, and I could see the back of it, and I turned it over, and it was a cap bust. And so I've got 2 of those, and both of them different.
Nice. Well, what year was your seeded dime? I'm just curious. That seeded dime, that's the Civil War site. What year was that? Remember?
No, I really don't. I'm thinking 1860, 1861, something like that. But I could be wrong.
Well, mine was.
Go ahead.
Mine was 1853. It had the arrows on it. It had arrows on each side. So I thought that was a unique coin to find.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about privy dumping, Lloyd. Matt Howe wants to come up and go privy dumping sometime up here. And then we want to go Civil War hunting down with Matt. So
right, yeah, and where Matt lives, I mean, it's full of Civil War stuff, and it's full of Civil War stuff. Not necessarily in my area. We've got some, but not as much as they do in Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is covered up with it. I mean, it's everywhere down there. Where
we have never dug a bullet ever. Charlie.
Oh, me.
No, we never did. We get a lot of musket balls here, of course, but we never got to Civil War. Now, Paul and I were supposed to go out to a site last weekend out in Chambersburg, PA. Chambersburg was burned down twice by the Confederates, 1862 and 1864. And a friend of mine has a farm where the troops were, and we were supposed to go out there, but with this virus, we backed off on it. that was the closest Civil War site that's here to where we live, about an hour and a half away. So we had the opportunity to do this farm, but it's on hold right now. So we were
so a lot of your guys' history are sort of pre-Civil War, Revolutionary era, kind of all that time, right? It's the main part of your history there, and not so much Civil War.
Our
we're more
is
Revolutionary War than Civil War.
Yeah,
but we're not too far from Gettysburg. We're a couple hours from Gettysburg, and Chambersburg was where the troops went through on their way to Gettysburg. So again, we have that farm that we're going to go at one of these days.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, our area is 17. Yeah.
Hey, Lloyd, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I did get a Civil War bucket list last week that a lot of people never find, and I have never dug a Civil War civilian button, an artillery button, a cavalry, or I forget what the other one is, but I dug a dragoon's button last week.
Oh, my goodness. I don't have a dragoon. I really want one. You were probably, the other one that you were talking about is the infantry button that has the I in the shield.
Yeah, the I.
But the dragoons have the D on it?
Yeah, it's got
I get a dragoon.
Yeah, the dragoon's got the D on it, and that's a hard button to find. I don't have one of those. I've got most all the others, but I don't have that one.
They became the cavalry,
the only thing,
right?
Yeah, that's what they were.
Yeah, this was found at a colonial site, so we're thinking it probably was a soldier who returned home from the war and lived in that house where we were at. That's where that button probably came off of. Yeah.
And, a lot of Civil War relics that are found up in the Northeast like that, that's what they are relics that the soldiers brought back home with them, not necessarily that there were soldiers or camps or anything there. But it doesn't matter. I mean, there's some nice stuff. Keebs with stealth diggers found a sword belt plate up in New England there, in New Hampshire, and evidently the guy had brought it home with him. And that is that's a much sought after Civil War relic as well.
On Charlie's farm, I got the shoulder.
Yeah. You found something on our family farm, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the brass shoulder epaulets. Like they came with like 6 shingles. I want to call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them on Charlie's farm.
Did you find both of them?
I found one whole one and pieces of the other one.
Oh wow! Probably just threw the garment out there and it rotted away, and then the epaulet or the shoulder scale just remained. When you find that stuff,
I heard
Go ahead.
I heard a story, and I don't know if you can emphasize this or not, but I heard a lot of them guys. It wasn't a really great war. You're fighting against your own, country basically, and I heard a lot of them guys when they got back from the war, they were so disgusted with the war that a lot of their uniforms and things. So I don't know if any of that's true.
I don't know. I'm sure that it was in some cases, and in some cases it wasn't. You just, you never know. You hear all of those stories, and sometimes, it could be true with one family or one person, and could not be the general attitude. But it is something that I certainly hope that this country never has to go through again, a civil war.
Yeah.
Well, I know as far as my family, my great-grandfather was in the Civil War, and I was fortunate enough to have a lot of his stuff handed down to me, which I have to this day. I have Rossetti Road, I have his gun, I have his uniform buttons, and so forth and so on. I was really fortunate to be able to get this stuff given to me. So it's a treasure, family.
Yeah.
Treasure. So yeah.
Hey, guys, I don't know why we can't get anybody to call in, but if you'd have called in before 8 o'clock, we was going to give you a brand new detector, a pin pointer, a digging shovel. We was going to give you the whole
Hang
works.
on a second. I got to go do something.
But come on, guys, call in tonight and talk to these guys here. I'd like for Kevin Dowd to call in. I'd like to know what his impression was when he first saw that trim. I tell you what mine was. I thought it was off of a little tab off of one of the kids' drinks, and I was already fussing about it. It was real shallow, but they are so small.
Well, Kevin was fortunate to find that one. Like I said, he was at a place that was hunted pretty hard. But Paul and I, we were with Jason when he found his trim, right, Paul? Didn't Jason find one down in Jersey? Yeah. We were with him when he found. He was so upset. He was so upset because about 15 minutes before that, he broke a riel in half with a shovel.
Oh my!
And he was upset over that. Yeah. And then later on, he found that trim, and his tears dried up very quickly.
Yeah, those trims can't give you very much of a report. You know what I mean? They can't give you much of a very good signal, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I 2 times I have found in the middle of a huge cornfield in the middle of nowhere. I thought I had trims 2 times, and they were play dimes.
Yeah.
Well, I found you're in the middle of a cornfield. You know what I mean? It's not like you're by an old house or something.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't explain it sometimes, some of the things that you find. I found my trim with my CTX. I had the 11-inch coil on, and as you know, the CTX has 2 numbers, and it rang up a 1216. It was a very good signal, really, really strong signal and repeatable. I thought it was going to be a piece of aluminum or something, and whenever I seen it, I thought, yep, that's what it is. It's one of those tabs off of a kid's drink. And then I seen those 3 bars, and I knew what I had before I ever turned it over and seen the star on the other side. And all of those finds like that you find, they take you by surprise. You weren't expecting to find that, and then all of a sudden you do. And we finally do have a call that is coming in here. Let's see. I think it's 7752. Who we got? And the floor is yours.
This would be Kevin. How am I sounding?
Oh, you sound good.
You sound good.
Yeah, you sound good.
Awesome. Hey, I just wanted to call in and say thanks to Paul and Charlie for inviting me down. All those times they had me down. It was the greatest weekend down there. They're good guys.
Who's this?
It's
Who's
Kevin.
Talking?
Kevin.
I don't know no Kevin anymore.
Yeah. You say that next time we go to M&M.
Yeah, M&M.
He's the guy.
Shop.
Let me remind you, he's the guy that took that trim right out from underneath you.
It's going to happen to a better guy.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Kevin, what did you think whenever you first got it out of the hole and you first seen it?
I just thought it was one of those little washers that always ring up in the 80s, a little brass washer that we always find.
Yeah.
And then I hit it with a pinpointer, and it was shiny. Knew right away.
Yeah.
Knew right away what it was.
Did you know it? You knew it was a trim as soon as you seen it then?
Yeah.
Well, it's a hard one to find.
Underneath a little...
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I know when I watched his video, he was screaming like a little girl in the beginning, so I'm sure he was really excited.
Yeah, thank you for that, Paul. Boy, thank you for that. Kevin once tattled on me saying I screamed like a little girl when we almost went into it, or when we did go into a ditch while we were in England in the van. So I appreciate you doing that, Paul. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did.
Videos don't lie.
No, they don't.
Hey, Paul, when I called in, when I asked you about your white whale, I didn't think it was a trime, and I wasn't calling.
Yeah, it's a trime.
I did not ask that to rub it in.
I know. It just happened to be a coincidence. That's all.
And
I was fortunate. I got there late. Everyone started to detect that day without me. I got there about a half hour late. But when I arrived, that's when he found his Trime, when I just arrived, and I was able to see the excitement that was involved there with finding that Trime. And Kevin said he was done for the day. He was done. He was ready to go home.
And
that was a good day.
Hey guys, Quarter Hoarder is trying to call in. I've added you. I had you added there, and I was waiting for them to stop. Try to call in again, and let me see if I can add you back in. Okay.
That'd be great.
Thanks for calling, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for calling in, man. I know it was tough where you're working at right now, so we appreciate you calling in.
Yep. Thank you,
Kevin.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Charlie.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Good night, Kevin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jason, I tell you what, let me try to call you. We may, this may not work out. We may get his answering machine or something other. That happens every now and then.
And while you're doing that, Loy, Paul, did you find a gold coin?
Yeah, I wanted to say that the Lord mentioned about when you leave. Hello?
Jason.
Here's Jason.
Jason.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, there's Jason.
This is just some lonely digger up north. I had a question for PA Pirate Paul and Charlie. Oh, great.
Go ahead.
My question's for Charlie. I want to know why he lives. His neighbor on his left is Daniel Boone's grandpa, and his neighbor on the right is George Washington's great aunt Betsy. I want to know why Charlie never detected his own yard.
I know. My wife thinks I'm crazy. She says, you go here, you go there, but you don't detect your own yard. So maybe now I will. Since
button found 10 feet from his yard.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
Jason, the next time Charlie goes down to the shore, I'll tell you how it worked out.
When I come there, that's exactly where I'm going, Jason. I'm going to that yard. Okay. I'll meet you there. My backyard. I know. It's the strangest thing. To my left and to my right are these colonial properties, and we got some great coins and relics off these. I didn't do my own property yet. That's bizarre, isn't it?
But they're two great guys, Lloyd. I had to call in. I'm glad I met them. I'm glad I got to hunt with them. They're both real stand-up guys. And even everyone they've met, Kevin and everyone we've gotten together, just really fortunate. Great area, great people, and I'm glad I got to know them both.
Yeah, yeah. And
it's really fun to watch. It's definitely fun to watch, Jason, when you all get together. So my hat's off to you guys for doing that.
It's still on my bucket list, Jason, for me and you to get together and hunt, and all those guys. I mean, some of the crew there, you know, I've hunted with. I've hunted with Jeff Ford and Missouri Mike. I've hunted with Hoover Boys and hunted with a lot of them. But I still want to get with you guys one of these days.
I'd love to. I've gotten this love of buttons, Lloyd, and my collection's nowhere near yours. But I appreciate those buttons, probably more than the coins now. I love those buttons. I know you love those buttons. So what a button fiesta we have! Why Paul and Charlie, gobble up the coins?
Yeah. I
actually
go ahead.
I actually love buttons. I mean, I love the military buttons, especially Civil War buttons, because there's so many different, branches, so many little designs, and all the different troops and all the different little regiments. And unfortunately, we just don't live in a high Civil War area, and that's one thing I wish I could get on more. Yeah, I'm with Paul there. We do get some more of 1812 buttons. Paul got a killer one not long ago. But those Civil War buttons, like I said, the individual regiments and all the designs on there and the state seals and the sigils, just amazing. I would love to spend a weekend down south more.
Well,
Jason, didn't you get some Revolutionary War buttons on the farm up there where the cabin was? Didn't you get some Revolutionary War buttons there?
If you remember, Charlie, I got 3 of them in a row, and I said, holy cow, the whole uniform must have been here. I walked away, Paul walked over and got the last 2. And I'm still trying to track Paul for them so I can get the set.
There you go.
Now, talk about digging a find right out from under you from your own hole, too.
He walked away. He was done.
I walked away. I went to go have lunch, and Paul got him. But that's okay. They're beautiful. Long neck eagle buttons, more of 1812, if not earlier. Just an incredible design.
You know, that was one thing that I was going to ask you guys, because I know you've got a lot of War of 1812 stuff in that area. That's another thing that we don't have, and the only War of 1812 stuff that we have here is stuff that the soldiers brought to this area, you know, whenever they after the land grants and things, I guess, or when they came back home. No War of 1812 fighting that I know of in our area here. So we're kind of like with War of 1812, like you guys are with the Civil War. If they didn't bring it home, we don't find it.
Yeah.
I think down in region has their specialty, that's for sure.
Do what, Jason?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say every region of the country seems to have their specialty niche. And you know, down south, that Civil War stuff, and we get jealous, and then we get, you know, Revolutionary War, and they get jealous. But that's part of the fun of the hobbies. You get to travel to a new area for a weekend and appreciate things that other people might take for granted somewhat.
Right.
Yeah, like colonial coins here. You know, of course, we make fun and joke about me and KG2s and that kind of thing, but we really are colonial coins, you know, here, but we're not blessed with Civil War stuff like some people are in other spots, you know, so it's kind of a give-take type of relationship.
Yeah, we get tired of finding...
I'll never forget the smiles on Mikey's face when Mikey and Jeff came up and they were getting, you know, 1700s coins. I mean, I've never seen Mikey smile so much. He's usually cool, calm, and collective, and we got him up dancing. He was so excited.
I saw that.
Pennies and stuff.
I was wondering, did he dance in England when he got that gold coin? Was he dancing then in England?
You know, he wasn't feeling the best, I'll tell you, but he was smiling. Right. It made him feel a lot better, and he would kiss that coin, I'll tell you, and he had smiles from ear to ear, but I don't think he did any dancing.
Well, I tell you
what.
I
heard he wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I've probably only found 5 military buttons in my life, and you know, we're not really in the area for military buttons besides Revolutionary War. And I got to say, I've been pretty blessed because my 2 favorite, I don't know how I did. I mean, I just got the Dragoons button, which I always wanted. And I got the 1812 button with the cannon, the eagle on top of the cannon, and the cannonball sitting down. So I've been pretty blessed with that.
Yeah. Now, Tennessee Jeff found one of those with the cannon sitting above the cannonballs at a old colonial site that we hunted in Middle Tennessee that was close to my daughter's house. And I've never found one of those. I really want one of those to add to my collection. But Jason knows one year I found 301 colonial flat buttons. I was lucky enough to find a bunch of colonial houses. I'm still walking and looking. I just can't find any more right now.
You had a hot spot there last year. Over a year, I remember. You couldn't not find them.
I know it. Yeah, and it never got old. I never got tired of finding them. Never.
Well, I'm the same way.
One of the progressives in Tennessee that Jason had, I think 2 of the cannon buttons came from the field, and a 1812 Navy button also.
Yeah, that one farm commission. It was in Jersey. We had Paul and Charlie out, and me and my buddies dug it probably 8-9 times. I think we dug over 300 buttons out of this one farm. Not to mention reals. Charlie's first ever 1 real. All sorts. I think we dug over 40 large cents. Sometimes you find a spot like that, it's just incredible, and you just keep going back, and we've hunted a lot of times. We had a great time, you know, multiple occasions over there.
Hey, Paul, Allison in the chat wants to know if you want to hunt up in the Great White North of Ontario. I think she's inviting you up north there, bud.
Oh, Allison, yeah, we love Allison. I'm sure we would love to do that trip sometime, but I don't know. It's always hard to get things scheduled in there, you know?
I'll squeeze it in. I can go north. I can head north.
Silver. It doesn't matter if it's Canadian or American.
That's on the top of my bucket list too, is to hunt with Allison. I want to go skin diving or scuba diving with Allison. If we can ever make it happen after all of this virus and everything gets away, we may make that happen. That'd be a dream come true for me.
She comes down to all these events down here. I guess it'd be good for somebody to go up there sometime and give her some company.
Yeah, I said scuba diving. I meant scuba. Somebody might have took that the wrong way, Allison. I didn't mean it that way.
Yeah, I think it was Mandy earlier that she was trying to set the precedence by asking Charlie if she came up and knocked on his door, would he go ahead and give her permission to hunt his front yard?
Is it? You say Mandy?
Yeah,
sure, she's welcome anytime.
Yeah, that's
she's
where
really great. She's very great.
Yeah, that's where I want to go. I want to go to that yard. And Denny Morrison said, did Loy say he wanted to go skinny dipping with Allison? No, that's not what I said, Denny.
We've got it on record there, Lloyd.
Yeah, we got way off in the wrong area right here real quick.
There you go.
I stayed out of it.
You stayed out of it. Well, you did well.
You said Mandy chatted. Did she chat or she called? She chatted, didn't she? Mandy did.
Yeah.
When Mandy went hunting for the first time with Paul and I, she was with the Hoover boys also. And at the very end of the night, she had in her bag. She said, I had just a penny in my bag. She said, I didn't clean it, just a penny. And here was a flying eagle. So she was quite surprised that she had such a great coin that she thought was just a regular penny, like a Lincoln penny. But that was the start of her career coming up here and hunting with me and digging bottles now. So she's a great friend of mine now.
Yeah, Mandy, call in. That's what Kevin Dowd said, for you to call in. We've got a little bit more time. Call in and talk to these guys.
That'd be great. Now, you guys mentioned arrowheads earlier. Yeah, so we're waiting for her to call in. You guys mentioned arrowheads. You mentioned bottles, metal detecting. Any other kind of treasure hunting you guys do? How about gold prospecting? You guys ever done any gold prospecting?
No, but let me finish that gold story that we keep getting hooted from.
Yeah.
To tell you, Loy, you were saying about coins that you least, usually when you find the great coins, it's when you least expect it. And when I got my gold coin, Charlie was busy that day, unfortunately, and we were in this one really great field that we used to hit pretty hard, and there's an old horse track in there at one time, and there's a lot of musket balls in that cornfield, and I was using my AT Pro at the time, and a musket ball rings up really erratic. I don't know if they do for other detectors, because with my Equinox they do. With the AT Pro, it was hitting 50, it was hitting 70, it was going all over the place, and I just thought it was a musket ball. And lucky enough, I dug it, and it ended up being the gold coin. To my surprise.
I've heard that from 3 or 4 different people that have found gold coins that it jumped around quite a bit. Now, I've done that on cut reals where they'd be in a hole with a bunch of square nails or something, and they would jump around quite a bit, but you were getting that high peep that would come in every now and then, A lot of times, if you don't dig everything that repeats, you have no idea what you've just walked over. And somebody was talking about the flying eagle there a while ago that Mandy found. That is a hard coin to find. A flying eagle, because what did they make those 3 years, wasn't it?
Yeah
1856, 57, and 58, because 59 was the first year Indian, and I'm lucky enough that I've got the first year Indian, and I've got several Indians, but I've got the first year, and then I've got a 1909, and I've got those in a display case together because it's first year and the last year. But then I've got a flying eagle that I can't get a date off of, but I know it's one of those 3 years.
Well, this last property we just did, that's been...
Paul, didn't they make a 1859 flying one?
56, but it was kind of like the very first experimental coin. I believe was 1,000 were made, and they were given out, especially, and they somehow, got into the circulation.
That's 1856.
Yeah.
And then
but on this property we were just on, I mean, I got 2 flying eagles off this property myself, and Kurt found one, and there was 2 set pieces found on this property. So I think it was pretty weird to find that many coins you don't find too often.
Yeah. They will take you by surprise. There's no doubt about it. The ones that you're really after, in almost every case, with me, the ones that I've been looking for, and can't find, I never dug the hole and said, this is it. I know it is when I uncover it. It was just a surprise to me. What about you, Ken? What's been your biggest surprise?
I'm checking up the chat actually real quick. She was saying that looks like Mandy tried to call in and she got some kind of service suspended message back. I think that's what she's talking about.
Pay your bills, Lloyd. Pay your bills.
No, it's good. It is 270. I'm typing it in as I'm talking. 495-0315. So call in, Mandy.
Let me play the host for a minute. What's your one, Ken?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I was paying attention to the chat. Sorry about that. What was the question?
What's your white whale? What do you want to find that you should have found by now? That you want to find?
I have never found an IHP. And they are found here. I have never found an IHP, and it's not something huge. I want to find like a top of my bucket list. It's just one of those things I want to get out of the way, and I want to find one. I love their design, right? I love the design of the IHPs. I'm in a prime area for it. It's one of the common coins that are found around here for Colorado, but I just have never found one. And I didn't get a chance to go out last weekend, and my digging partners that did get a chance to go out. Each one of them found one. So I'm kicking myself for not making it on that.
Okay, I think we got Mandy in now. Mandy, is that you?
That's me.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Mandy.
We hear you. Hey, Mandy.
Hey, Mandy.
How are you? I hope you can hear me okay. I have you on speaker, so I can still quasi-listen to the show with my other phone.
Just make sure your volume's down so the delay doesn't get you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
I really can't say enough to thank Charlie in particular. He's been very helpful to me for finding things and not finding junk at the beach. That's for sure. So, and it's just nice. This is what I call a community, and everybody's so friendly. And then I got to meet Paul on that first hunt with the Hoover Boys. You get a bit star-shocked, I would say. So I just kind of stayed off to the side and didn't really ask a whole lot of questions. So I don't know what else to say. It's nice to meet both of you.
Mandy, I was really happy for you when you found that coin, though, that you realized what it was at the very end.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm always trying to get Charlie to go out with you, Mandy.
How often have you guys gone out? How many times have you guys gone out?
I was down there for the one hunt with the Hoover Boys when I found that penny, and then I've been down one other time, and that's when Charlie and I did some bottle digging. So, and then he found that Mexican Real literally right next to where I was digging I think a water pipe or something in the ground. I have no idea.
Right. But man, you don't forget you came up with your husband, and we did one property where your husband found I think it was a Drake bus.
Yeah, large cent. Yeah. I tend to forget about my husband sometimes, so I don't know.
Well, when Mandy came up to dig, she headed to the bottle dump, and her husband stayed with me, and that's when he found the Drake bus. But she disappeared. She she likes to do that.
Well,
Right,
bottle
Sandy,
dumps are
you're
exciting.
for that
man.
bottle
They're fun
dump.
to dig.
A lot of times, Charlie.
Yeah.
A lot of times, Charlie will have a site in the back of his head, and he'll say, "You want to go here?" And it might not be a site that I really like that much. And I always tell him, I say, "Well, that's a good place for you and Andy to go." And I want you to prove me wrong sometime, Andy, and find something great.
Well, we've got it. We've got it on record here now, Mandy. You've got permission to dig his yard, and I'm sure there's some GW buttons in there and some trimes in there. So you just head back on over there.
You do Charlie said when he goes to the shore. How's that?
You know what?
Okay, yeah.
You know what, Mandy? There's a whole bunch of us that's going to finally meet in that yard, and it's going to be an epic video. I tell you what, me and you and Quarter Hoarder and DK and just the whole group, we're going to converge on that yard. There won't be nothing else left right there. We'll have to bring us some grass seed to re-sow the place.
Hey, Lloyd.
Yeah.
I'm getting a visual of that.
Are you?
Hey, Lloyd.
Yeah.
That'll be like we make that an event next year. Instead of Pound the Ground, it's called Pound Charlie's Yard.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
the event. That's the event right there.
Yeah. I'm in on that one, I'll tell you. I'm in all the way. And somebody said here that it'd be a yard party. Allison said it'd be a yard party at Charlie's.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, me. I tell you.
Hey, Lloyd, Charlie, you lived there how many years?
What was that?
How many years have
How
you
many
lived
years
there?
have you lived at your house?
How many years I lived here at this house? 45.
45 years, and he can and actually see the spot where it's inside for the George Washington button.
Yeah, you're going to
I know. Right now.
Paul, you're going to have to get out of the bathroom again. You're back in the bathroom. We're cutting out. We can't hear you.
Sorry.
You know how men are, though. Now, you ladies know exactly what I'm talking about. Men say, oh, it'll be all right. I can do that tomorrow. I can do that tomorrow. And that's what he's doing on that yard. But he don't know that the rest of us will sweep in there and take it, won't we, Mandy?
No, agreed for sure. Next time I get down towards Scottsville, I'll have to look you guys up. So,
And
Yeah,
Charlie,
Mandy's a traveler. Mandy travels a lot of different places. She was down Florida digging. Weren't you down there digging, Mandy, recently?
yeah, I went down to the South Carolina, and then I went down to a Florida hunt. So that was definitely enjoyable.
Now, when were you in South Carolina?
Oh goodness, about at least 2 months ago.
Okay. American Digger magazine, who I produce their show and part of their crew, and we have a show in Charleston, South Carolina, every January, and we were there in January. I didn't get to dig any. My wife went with me, and we did our shows and everything, and then just kind of went around sightseeing. But man, that's another historic place, is South Carolina.
Yeah, it was in Somerville, and total coincidence, I ended up staying at the Airbnb of the gentleman whose property that we were going to be hunting on, and that particular site where he lived used to be the old post office. Now, mind you, I find the same thing I find in every yard, which is just about nothing. But it just the greatest people there, and that history of Somerville was quite incredible as well. So, nice people for sure.
Yeah. It's that way in the South. I tell you what, you ever come to Kentucky, you'll meet some of the best people that you've ever met, and you'll think that you've known them all your life. Same thing in Tennessee. But wait till all this virus gets by before you travel down this way, because...
Yeah, got stepchildren down there, so there's always justification to come down that way.
Well,
so,
where are they at? Are they in Tennessee or Kentucky?
They're in Kentucky, so they're in Scottsville, which is just north of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm
about 20 minutes from I'm about 20 minutes from Scottsville, where I'm at. I'm in Tompkinsville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm about 20 minutes. So if you ever come to Scottsville, you holler at me, okay?
I will for sure. And thank you for having me on. And it was great to hear Charlie and Paul's voice. They always have the most unique banter. So that's what makes this even more enjoyable. If you're not finding something, just to be able to laugh at things.
Mandy,
hey, it's all about having fun. The fines come second.
That's right.
The fines are
Mandy, before you leave, I named that turtle that I found, that rusty turtle in the ground. His name is Rusty. Okay, just so you know, we named him Rusty. we found this iron object in the ground, and it looks like a turtle. So we decided to name it Rusty now. So you'll have to watch the video.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks
for are a blast.
Thanks for the call, Mandy. And if you're in Scottsville down this way, you holler at me, okay? Reach out to me. Diggin with 7 on YouTube, also Diggin with 7 on Facebook. And just give me a shout. We'll get together and go somewhere.
I will. All right. Thank you so much. You guys have a good evening.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
See you, Mandy.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mandy.
And,
hey, Lloyd, what's your white whale?
And we lost Charlie there. My white whale is a 3-cent. I mean a 2-cent coin that I should have found, and I think that this is Charlie calling back in right here.
Yeah.
Man, them guys live in the boonies down there. I tell you. You back in now, ain't you, Charlie?
I'm back in. Yep, I'm back in. I have to pay my phone bill, I guess, or something here.
Need to get a kid up there on the roof holding that antenna and that aluminum foil left and right.
Yeah, that might work. Yep, that might work. Yeah, it is country here. We do. There's a lot of land out here where we are. It is the boonies yet. Kind of nice.
Sounds absolutely fabulous to come out there and be able to dig with y'all. And I'm really looking forward to getting an opportunity to do that. Just so much history and that's what I really love about this metal detecting is just the history you get to learn about. And I'd love to come out and learn about your area even more so than what I've heard already. It just sounds great.
We're blessed. We're very fortunate.
And when you all get along good, that helps.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, I tell you what, you guys have been great guests tonight. We're in free baseball, really, but you've been great guests, haven't they, Ken?
Yeah, absolutely great. I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing with us your story of your area and how you all met, and it's been a great afternoon. So I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. And
we do appreciate the calls.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate the calls that we got from Mandy and Kevin and Quarter Hoarder, and did I miss anybody? Had good calls.
I'm surprised Jeff didn't call in.
Dinner's ready.
Somebody said dinner's ready.
Yeah, that was my wife. She's calling up at the thing saying dinner's ready.
Don't you know you're busy, Ken?
Isn't it funny how a man can hear that all the way from Colorado to Kentucky? Hey, dinner's ready. But you guys have been great guests, and we do appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to have you back on sometime.
That'd be
we
great.
Appreciate it.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. Ken, I'll let you say your piece, and then I'll close the show out here tonight.
Yeah, guys, hold on real quick. We let's close the show down here. But, yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight for the chat. You guys really lighten up the chat tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm DK with Adventures in Dirt. You can find me over at YouTube at Adventures in Dirt. You can check out my weekly show called The Weekly Dirt every Sunday, where I try to bring you the best of what's going on in the metal detecting community and show it to you every Sunday. Loy?
All right. Charlie, you and Paul, you hang on the line, and we'll say our goodbyes after I close the show. What a great show, guys. Let me challenge you to go and check out their YouTube channels. It is in the description on this show. Just go there. I've got the links and everything. Go over there, sub them, support them. They were great guests here tonight. We appreciate all the calls. We appreciate everybody in the chat, all the live listeners, all of the archive listeners. And be sure, catch us next Thursday night right here on Spreaker, 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live every Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcast, and many other podcast outlets. Relics Radio is also syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. Be sure and visit Diggin with 7 on YouTube and check out the Relics Radio Facebook group page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to relicsradio@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope that you'll join us next Thursday night. Until then, get out there and dig some history.